There was it was like Christmas or getting close to it because we were pretty much wrapped up. Dad was still hunting. But I went back out to the farm and I was just moving some cameras around, I think. Yeah. And I went down and I was getting pretty close to one of these cameras and I look over and there's this 2 deer just like standing there. And I was like, what the heck? Like I was probably maybe 50 yards from them at that point. Mm-hmm. And I was on the machine. It's not like I was being quiet. And so I got down there and I see these 2 deer standing there, and I can see that they're like locked up, but they're not moving. They're just standing there.
Oh, that's because at this point,
who knows? They've been probably locked up for, I don't know, going on a week.
Jeez.
I would assume.
They look like
you know, and so think about what that deer looked like at the end of November, as far as just being beat up from the rut. This is a month later, and they've been probably just locked together for a week. Can't eat, can't really drink. It was brutal. It was sad to see. But so I called Dad. Dad was actually in the blind where I killed Fuzzy Wuzzy. I think trying to stay warm. It was cold. And he came back, and we went down together with... I didn't know what we were going to do. I was like, well, I had the chainsaw. I brought the chainsaw.
Well, you wanted to save Irma. The 6-point.
I knew who the one was. It was a really nice 3-year-old buck. I had a bunch of pictures of and stuff. The other one I wasn't sure, but it was like a bigger body deer. So I was like, if Irma's 3, I said, this deer's probably mature. I can't tell what he is really antler-wise. It's weird when they get tied together. It's
just a mass.
It's all antlers to me. Yeah, I don't know. So we went back down with... there's footage of this too somewhere. Aunt Cindy was with it. And going down with the chainsaw.
TMZ stuff.
Dad had his bow, and we were going to try to break these deer apart, or at least, see what we could do.
Yeah.
So I went down and kind of walked up to them, realized that they weren't able to like get apart. Even us getting close enough wasn't getting them to like...
Isn't it amazing though? I mean, you look at these deer and you look at the structure of them and you're like, how do they get tangled like that? And I mean, when they lock up,
it's bizarre.
It's just angles and pressure points, and I mean, it's not coming apart. You're cutting them apart.
Yeah, well, that's what I started first. Was I was able to get close enough. So what we did was...
this is a dangerous situation.
Dad had a tag in his pocket, and I could tell they were in really bad shape.
It was burning a hole through his pocket, probably at that point.
For sure. So I told him to shoot the bigger bodied of the 2 deer. I was like, I don't know who it is, but it's bigger than Irma. He's probably mature. I wanted Irma to live.
Right.
So he shot that deer, and it died like instantly. Like he was just like dust. Yeah, it was tough to watch. But so as soon as that deer expired, which I'm telling you was within like a minute of him shooting it, I walked right up to them, and Irma's not moving at this point. He's just standing there with his head down. These deer are clearly like near death. Not doing good. And I did everything that I could, short of breaking breaking his skull. I was trying to.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing too. I mean,
I could feel it giving a little bit too, so I couldn't get them apart. And so I then took the chainsaw to one of Irma's antlers because Dad already shot this buck. I was like, well, let's keep it intact. I'll cut one of Irma's antlers off.
That should free him up.
Maybe somebody will deter him from getting shot.
Yeah,
I don't know. So we hacked off one of Irma's antlers and have it. It's at home, and
to break them loose.
That busted him loose, and then Irma just kind of took 5-10 steps and just stood in that creek.
Yeah,
for
hours
for a while. Yeah. So we took Dad's buck back, and here I'll send you some of these pictures. We're doing it. So we took that buck back and took pictures and stuff, and kind of a weird situation to be taken.
Yeah, I mean, you can't necessarily, and the unfortunate thing is anytime you harvest an animal, you want to be happy about it and stuff, but it literally was a pity harvest.
Yeah, it wasn't your typical celebration.
It's a mercy harvest.
Yeah, there was some closure there to Dad's season, so he got to wrap his tag on that deer, and so all the while, Irma's still down standing in the creek and just not doing good, but good enough that I'm like, well, we got to give him time to see if he's gonna make it.
Yeah, and I mean, as we've talked before, these deer are freaking resilient, man. Like it takes a lot to take one down, But obviously, who knows how long these deer have been together? Who knows how much energy they've expelled even trying to separate after fighting, after the peak rut. their bodies are worn out at this point, toasted. So yeah, I mean, that's a hard thing. You think that you separate those deer, and I mean, there's a lot of studies on the captive deer herd side where, they call it capture myopathy, but basically, when these deer are sedated and handled on a captured deer standpoint, whether for research or pen deer, whatever you call it, often doesn't seem like it because you're sedating the animal and stuff, but the handling and the reversing of the drugging agents and stuff, takes such a toll on these deer that they die, right? It's such extreme stress induced, just from sedating them, handling them, cutting off antlers or whatever, doing research measurements, reviving them, that they die. It stresses them out till they die. It's no different than, if you handle a fish too long out of water, like it stresses out, you release the fish and it kind of goes away and you're like, oh, fish is fine. Then it's floating, downstream an hour later.
So you can pull those pictures. I sent those to Jeremy and, so we went back and processed. Here you go.
Yep. Yeah. Look at that deer. Thing is spent.
Isn't that a crazy buck?
Yeah.
That's just a giant 4-point. That's what that is. He's just got 2 big hooks, no brow tines.
That's nuts.
And I had pictures of him the year before. That's at least a 4-year-old buck. There he is on the hoof. That's a 4 or 5-year-old, just giant 4-point.
That's crazy. Old pitchfork.
That's what you don't want.
That's what you don't want.
First genetics.
Yeah. Take note. Don't want that.
Yeah. In fact,
it's a cool deer, though.
You can see on the tip of this brow tine where the chainsaw had.
I was going to say, is that the chainsaw?
It. Yep.
It is a cool deer, though. There's
so
you're missing a finger.
Yeah. So here's Irma's sheds. And you can see the left one's obviously missing the pedicle because that's where we cut it off with the chainsaw.
Yep.
So end of the story is I had to end up going back down and putting another arrow into Irma just to
finish.
He was dead. I just had to finish it and ended up cutting this other antler off and
sucks.
Bummer. Yeah, bummer for sure.